What's up, everybody? Tonight we have a special guest when we come right back. Welcome to another episode of Ring Walk Boxing Pie Podcast. I am Bean, and today we have a special guest, Mr. Joe Cortez, the legendary Mr. Joe Cortez.
Thank you, buddy.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
here. I'm here to talk to you guys, the fans out there. Want to know a little bit about my past, my history in boxing as a fighter and as a referee. Mainly, most people know me as a referee. They say, "We didn't know you were a fighter." I fought about 5 years in the amateur before I turned pro, and then I went and became a referee 7 years after I retired as a professional referee, professional boxer.
So you were born in 1945?
1943.
43? Okay.
Yeah, they got me 2 years younger. I'll take it. But I was born in 43. Uh, they got me on Facebook all over. All over they got me as 45, but I'm 43. And that was the year that Joe Louis was heavyweight champion of the world.
Oh wow,
You know.
that's some great history in the sport of
Oh, yeah,
boxing. So,
exactly.
where were you born, Mr.
I was
Cortez?
born, I was born in Spanish Harlem in New York City, Manhattan.
What was life like growing up in Harlem,
Well,
New York?
well, it was a tough neighborhood. There was a lot of gangs and a lot of individuals were doing drugs. It was a lot of gangsters around there. Just doing the wrong thing. And I thank God that I never got myself. I joined a gang for 1 day. What they did, I didn't like. I said, no, no, that's not for me. But there was a fighter by the name of Gaspar Ortega. Gaspar Ortega moved to New York City, 99th Street between Park and Madison. And that's where I met Gaspar. He was a professional fighter. And him and his brother came up from Tijuana, Mexico, went to Manhattan. They started training there. And when I went to school one morning, I came out the building. I see these two guys standing in front of the stoop. I
Hmm.
said, "Hey, how you guys doing?" And they didn't look Puerto Rican. They looked like two Indians. They were the jacket they had on their hair, the kind of hairdo they had. They looked like two Indians. And there was one guy who was Felix, the other one was Gasper. And I said, "So you guys live here?" They said, "We're boxers. We're going to be living here for a while." And that's how I met Gaspar Ortega. I was 12 years old. And that was the beginning of how my brother Mike and I got into boxing.
Oh, awesome. Um, so what age were you when you picked up boxing?
I picked up boxing when I was 15 years old in 1959.
Okay.
That's when I started boxing. I was going to the fights. I was watching Gaspar Ortega train at Steelman's gym, a gym called Steelman's Gym on 55th Street and 8th Avenue. And Gaspar used to train there with his brother. Then his brother left and Gaspar stayed in New York. And Gaspar started fighting. Eventually, he started fighting 10 rounders in Madison Square Garden. I used to go to his fights. I used to go watch him train. When I was not in school, I would go to check him out. And little by little, my brother got started first at the Boys Club of New York. And then before you know it, he started coming home with a trophy for the Boys Club. And he said, "Joe, come on, join the gym with us." I said, "No, I can't fight. My mom, because I had broken my jaw. I fell off a wall when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
And I broke my jaw on both sides. I
Hmm.
remember I was in the hospital for about a month. My jaw was all wired up. And so my mother always said, "No, Joe, you can't go to the gym. You can't get hit in that jaw. You got a weak chin." Anyway, little by little, I started sneaking with my brother to the boys' club. And before you know it, Golden Glove tournament was coming up around the corner. And my trainer, Johnny Markel, on the boys' club at the time, said, "What you got? Get signed up for the Golden Glove." So we both signed up. In the novice division, my brother was a featherweight, and I was a flyweight. So we joined the Golden Gloves, and my brother and I reached the finals, and we both took the Novice Championship that year. And that was my first Golden Glove championship. And then, it went on, my career just went on and on after that. I won several Spanish Golden Glove championships. Then the following year, I won the Open Golden Glove championship. And then I'll be one of the best fighters in New York City that my brother used to talk to me about, a guy named Angelo Soto. Angelo Soto was a good fighter from New York. And I wasn't even boxing yet. He was already a top-notch fighter. My brother Mike said, man, there's this guy, Angelo Soto. He came by the gym the other day, he was working out. Guy's like a pro, he's so good. He moves, he boxes, he can punch, Eric. Will you believe that when I went to the Open Championship, I'm fighting Angelo Soto for the Open Championship. And I ended up beating him.
Oh, that's awesome.
Everybody was so surprised. And I won another Spanish Golden Glove that year. Then I won the Eastern Golden Glove Championship, which was a champion from each state would fight for the Eastern Championship, Eastern Golden Glove Championship. In Madison Square Garden, we got to the finals, semifinals, and finals the same night. We had to fight twice the same night. And I went up first, and I won by knockout in the second round. And these are top-notch fighters, already becoming as champions. And then my brother came up after me. He won by knockout. Wow, two of the skinny guys. Wow, two of the skinny guys. Went by knockout. I came up the second time for the finals that night. And I beat a guy named Ralph Jackson. I knocked him out. Also, I stopped him in the first round. And then my brother won a decision. And then after that, they said, you guys are doing really good. You guys are going to represent New York for the national. They call it intercity bouts, New York versus Chicago. And in New York, they call it the National Golden Glove Championship. And because it was the West Coast, the champion from the West Coast represented Chicago, and the champion from the East Coast represented New York team. So we both went to Chicago. My brother won the lightweight championship against a guy named Tommy O'Shea. And I fought a guy named Oscar German. Oscar German was on the team with Muhammad Ali the year before. Oscar German was a several-time national champion. So he was about 25 years old. I was 17 years old. I had to fight that guy, one of the best on their team. And to me, to this day, I still say it was one of my easiest fights. I won very easily. I won the national championship, beating Oscar German. Oscar German had beaten Emmanuel Stewart in the semifinal tournament. And it was a great accomplishment for me to beat Oscar German at the age of 17. And then we were going for 3 years in a row the following year, and we both reached the finals, but we both lost in the finals that night. I lost a decision, my brother lost a decision. That was my second loss as an amateur. I had 45 amateur fights. I lost one up in Montreal, international championship fight. I lost against a guy, a French-Canadian named Marcel Belfay. Marcel Belfay was a champion out of Canada. And I lost. That was my first loss. It was my 31st fight. That's when I lost that. Then I lost to Henry Costoso for the third time for the Golden Glove Championship. The third year, that's when I lost to Henry Costoso. Those are my only two losses that I had at the amateurs. And I never hit the canvas, amateurs or pro. So my chin turned out to be pretty good. Or maybe I was moving and moving. You couldn't hit me that much. I used to come home. My mother used to look at us, and she would say, well, Joe, what, you didn't fight tonight? I say, yeah. Well, how come your brother's kind of bruised up? Well, we both fought, but I didn't get hurt. But anyway, we did pretty good. I'm very proud of what we did. Growing up in Spanish Harlem, it was difficult in that area because there's so much guy with the gangs, like I mentioned before, and the drugs. And I had to stay away from the boxing. Kept me on the right track. Kept me away from doing drugs and gangs and smoking and drinking. We didn't do none of that. And maybe that's why today people say, Joe, you can still make a comeback today. You still look like you're ready to go. Well, the right one will get you one, the left one will. I still got a little spark in the old flash.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you figure out my age right now. I'm going to be 81, and I still feel like I still got my muscles. I still got
guns. Yes,
I still got guns. I still got them. I stay in shape. I still keep myself going. I've been blessed.
Sir.
I've been blessed.
You are blessed. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I did some research. What movie did you star in?
I've been in several movies.
Mhm.
The most popular one that everybody knows about is the Rocky Balboa movie, which is the
Okay.
last Rocky movie. That was the last Rocky movie. Then I did one with Eddie Murphy, I Spy. I did one with Antonio Banderas, Woody Harrelson played to the bone. And I did a short clip, but it was in a movie at the end of a movie called Undisputed with Wesley Snipes. So I've been in 4 movies doing movies, and people say, "Sure, you have an agent? Who deals with you?" I said, "I have no agent. I'm sitting at the fight. I got a tap on the shoulder one day. Sylvester Stallone sitting behind me. I'm getting ready to go in the ring. He said, Joe, hey." He was sitting with Sugar Atlanta. He said, "Joe, I'm doing a movie. I need some information. I want you to be the referee for my movie." That's how I got the Rocky movie. So and then same thing with Eddie Murphy at the fights. He came to the fight one day. He approached me, and we that's how I hooked up all my movies.
Awesome. That's some great history.
Yeah, man. Well, keep
Um,
myself on the right track. Always
yes,
trying to
sir.
do the best I can.
So from being a boxer, when you transitioned over to being a referee, roughly what age were you then?
I was 33 years of age. I had retired from boxing in
In
1960. I think it was 68. Around that, I retired. And then I came back. I moved to Puerto Rico because I got an opportunity to work at a hotel. And I was working in the hospitality business, and I worked my way up to executive manager of a 5-star hotel called the El Conquistador Hotel in Fajardo, Puerto Rico. And I was training there. I was working. I would go to the gym in town every day. I would go to the gym and work out. And so, there was a guy named Joe Martinez who was a trainer there. He said, "Joe, you're looking pretty good." I said, "Yeah, but I've been retired." He said, "We got to fight for you. You can fight." There's some Jamaican fighters going to fight the Puerto Rican fighters, a pro show. You want you fight a 4 rounder just to get you started again. I said, "No, I've been retired for 3 years." But then he kept pushing me. I said, "All right, I'll take the 4 round fight." I took it and I won it easily. I went out there, I came home with my family that would watch me fight. They were all shook up, especially my wife and my daughters, my family members. I said, "Hey, George, please don't do that no more. You got a good job now in the hotels." So, I gave up the boxing. But when I was at the hotel, there was a gentleman, a guest that came to the hotel. He saw my name on the bulletin board, Joe Cortez. He called the operator and says, "Can I speak to Mr. Cortez?" And they got me on the house phone. I was talking to this gent. He says, "My name is Pat Masher. I used to referee your fights. I'm here at the lobby of the hotel." I said, "Wait there. I'll be right down." I came up from my office. I said, "Oh, yeah, I remember you, Pat Masher." And Pat Masher said, "Joe, I'm a guest here." So he was there about a week. And we exchanged phone numbers. He said, "If you ever come back to New York, you may moving up or anything, or coming up to visit, you give me a call." Well, the following year, I moved back to New York. That was December of '76. When I got back to New York, I gave him a call, said, "Pat, it's Joe Cortez. I'm here in New York. I moved back." He said, "You kidding me?" I said, "I'm here." He said, "Joe, let's get together for lunch." So we went for lunch the following week. He said, "Joe, I've been thinking about maybe you'll be interested in becoming a referee." I said, "Referee?" He said, "I never thought about that." He said, "Well, I can help you with that. I want to get you started with the Police Athletic League, a place called the PAL on Bruckner Boulevard in the Bronx." And Johnny Defoe was the director there. And so I called him up. He said, "Joe, come on down, put on some sneakers, and I'll give you and some white slacks. I'll give you a T-shirt with the PAL logo on the front, and you referee these little young kids, the 10, 11-year-old kids, the little tournaments that we have." I said, "Okay." I went down. We did these little Golden Glove, PAL tournaments. He said, "Joe, you look good. I'd like to get you signed up for the Golden Gloves." I said, "All right." So we signed me up for the Golden Gloves. I did the Golden Gloves, and then I was calling Pat Masher. They said, Pat Masher got me started." I said, "Pat, listen, they got me doing the quarterfinals." He said, "Joe, you must be lying because nobody does the quarterfinals the first year as a referee." I said, "Well," he said, "well, good luck to you, man. Then we'll see you next year." Well, I got another notice in the mail. "Joe, you do the semifinals." I called Pat Masher again, the guy who planted the seed in my head about becoming a referee. He says, "Joe, you got to be kidding. Nobody. You got to be kidding. You know, he already retired as a referee himself. So anyway, then a couple of weeks go by, I got another notice to do 2 championship fights in Madison Square Garden with the Golden Gloves. And we talked about Golden Gloves in New York back in those days. There were anywhere from 12 to 15,000 fans would come to Madison Square Garden. And I was doing the fights that night. I did 2 championship fights. One of them was Juan Laporte, and then when he won the championship in 1977. And then a week later, I got a call for the New York State Athletic Commission, Deputy Commissioner Frank Morris. And he says, "Hey, Joe, I was watching you the other day doing the fights. I want to talk to you. You came up to the office. I want to talk to you about something." I said, "All right." So I went to the New York State Athletic Commission. I wondered what the hell you going to talk to me about. I just started refereeing 6 months ago. Anyway, I get to the office. He says, "Joe, listen, I was watching you last week, 2 weeks ago, and I like the way you're refereeing. I was thinking about turning you pro." I said, "Sir, Mr. Morris, they told me I got to be in the amateurs like 3 to 5 years before I even consider going pro." And he said, "Well, Joe, we're going to turn you pro now." I said, if I turn pro, am I going to get any work? He said, "Joe, you know, we have 2 or 3 shows a month. I guarantee you, I'll put you on every show and do the 4-rounders and 6-rounders until you get yourself started." I said, "Wow." I said, "All right, if you consider that you're going to give me work there, yes, I'll accept the offer." So here I am now, 6 months into the game as a referee. I'm now a professional referee. So the rest is history.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, what would you say was the most controversial boxing matches you refereed?
Well, I've been to several of them. And one was when John Ruiz knocked out Kirk Johnson. Actually, he didn't knock him out. He retained the championship. But I had to disqualify Kirk Johnson for the heavyweight championship of the world for excessive low blows. I took points on 3 occasions. The third time, he kept hitting low. I took the points 1 time. I took the points the second time. And the third time, I hit him low 1 more time. You're going to get disqualified. Sure enough, it was a low blow, and I threw my hands over the head, and I disqualified. People say, "Wow, Joe, the heavyweight championship fight in the world, would you have considered maybe letting that go a little longer?" I said, "No, I don't buy them. They got to abide by the rules. You know, I'm here to enforce them." Anyway, the corner makes a joke, "But I know you for so many years in the amateurs, and I should see." I said, "I don't care. Throw it out the window. I'm not here to pick any favorite fighters or favorite trainers. I'm here to do a job." That was one controversial. And the most controversial, I think, was when Mayweather knocked out Victor Ortiz. And I'm sure that's the one you're talking about. And I'm thinking about. Victor Ortiz headbutted Floyd Mayweather. When he headbutted Floyd Mayweather, he cut him. And I stopped the action. And so I said, "Time out." And then Victor Ortiz went and hugged Mayweather. Said, "I'm sorry, I apologize, I'm sorry." He hugged him. He kissed him on the cheek. And then I said, I thought taking a point. Then 1 point from Victor Ortiz. I went to the judge, and he hugged him again. "I'm sorry. I said, "Come on, let's go." I said, "Come on." But I put them together. I said, "Time in." Now, when time in, like when I put my hand down, the place went crazy because Victor Ortiz went to hug him again. He put his hand to hug him again, and Mayweather said, the referee says, "Time in." He got to protect himself at all times. Mayweather hit with left foot and a right hand and knocked him out. Everybody, boo! Hey, Joe, come on! That was dirty. That was not sportsmanlike. But in rules of boxing, we say protect yourself at all time. You know, Larry Merchant said it best that night. At the interview, he said it was a legal sucker punch. You know,
Right.
that's the way it was. You know, and every time I would see Victor Ortiz after that, and he will say, "Joe, I'm sorry, I apologize what happened that night. You know, my trainers wanted me to do that, to headbutt him, because I had to start the momentum." And then he said, "I never would do that in my career." He said, "I got rid of my whole team of trainers. I got rid of them. They didn't want to cause me to lose that fight for that, by a knockout like that, because of the tactic that I use. I apologize." I said several times, then I would do some work with ESPN, and he said it publicly on ESPN when we were interviewing him about that night. We talked about it. He said, "Joe, that's what actually happened that night, and I'm sorry that I did that." But anyway, the fans and everybody knows in boxing, you got to protect yourself at all times.
That's a fact.
Mhm.
Um, So you were an inductee in the Boxing Hall of Fame. Can you
Okay. Yeah. I was inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame,
mhm.
uh, and then I was inducted into the National Boxing Hall of Fame. That was two. Then I got inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, which is the one that I got this ring at. When I
Okay.
got the Mike Tyson, Julio Chavez,
Mhm.
Sylvester Stallone, Constance Wu, National Bernstein, and myself, we all got inducted. And then about the same year, I got inducted with the Nevada Boxing Hall of Fame. And so that's not. And then last year, I got inducted to the Mixed Martial Arts Mastermind in Texas, in the Hall of Fame there. So that's my fifth induction. And coming this September in Atlantic City, where I did my first World Championship fight, which was Aaron Pryor and Miguel Montilla in 1982. And I did many championship fights there in Atlantic City. And I did George Foreman there, Roberto Duran there. There's so many big fights in Atlantic City. I'm getting inducted September 26th to 28th in Atlantic City. It'll be my sixth induction.
Oh, okay.
Uh, you
Congrats.
fans,
Congrats.
so you fans that want to go there, you're going to meet a lot of great fans. A lot of great fans come to these events. A lot of great champions are going to be there. And I hope to see anybody willing to mingle with all the fans.
That's awesome. Um, Now, do you have a gym
I have
at
a
this
gym
day
in
and
my
time?
house. I had it in my house, and I just closed it down recently
Okay.
because I'm selling the whole property. It's a house that I lived in for almost 20 years, and I had a gym in there. And that gym was a private gym. Anybody that would come there would be like Leon Spinks, but he was retired. He would
Hmm.
come there work out with me once a week. Uh, the name Shaver, Bernie Shavers.
Ernie
He was
Shavers?
Bernie Shavers. He was the hardest
Hmm.
hitting heavyweight in the history of
Yes.
boxing. He was
Yes,
also
sir.
coming like once a week and just do the mitts with me. He had the gloves on. I had the mitts. We move around the ring. I mean, talking about what a great experience having these fighters working out in my gym. I never had professional fighters coming in there because I was an active referee. I couldn't mingle and fraternize with the fighters. But I would then bring in the referees there like Kenny Bayless, Tony Weeks, Russell Mora, Mike Ortega, um, so many, Jack Reese, um, Thomas Taylor. All these guys would come to my gym and work out in my gym, and I would teach them some ring mechanics. I would let them move around. I would watch their ring mechanics. Sometimes I would put in two amateur fighters in there with them to move around, and I gave a couple of seminars to referees there just to help them get on the right track. Because I had the luxury of having a ring in my house. I would practice a lot of ring mechanics. I would move around backwards, sideways, in and out. And there was a referee named Zach Clayton. Zach Clayton was a referee for New Jersey and Philadelphia. He refereed the Thriller, no, the Zaire, the fight of Zaire with George Foreman and Muhammad Ali. He was a
Hmm.
referee for that fight, Zach Clayton. And Zach Clayton used to be a basketball player for the Harlem Globetrotters, but he also was refereeing. So he told me one day up in the room, we're changing, getting ready to go down to referee in Atlantic City. That's where he was working in Atlantic City with me. And he was saying, sure, I like the way you move, but I want you to move a little bit more like a cat. Once you jump in, jump out, move left way, to the right, to the left, to the right, move around, practice that a lot. And that's when I bought my ring at the house. I was practicing that, and he helped me a lot with my ring mechanics. Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Now, I want to ask you a question from the perspective of a referee. Um, if we recall Tyson versus Douglas and the
Right,
controversial count,
right,
there's a misconception. I
right.
guess seconds or count. How does that go?
Okay. When Ali got knocked, I mean, when Tyson got knocked down by Buster Douglas, that
Hmm.
fight took place in Japan, and Tyson had knocked down Buster Douglas, and a timekeeper is there, and I remember because I saw the videotape after they showed we had to go over this with some officials. They had the timekeeper; he had a white glove on, and he was already at five. Yeah, he was at five, and when you have five, the referee got to send Thomas Mike Tyson to the neutral corner. Well, Tyson went to the neutral corner, dug his on the canvas, and he looked at the timekeeper, and the timekeeper said 5. And then when the referee did, the referee got to pick up the count from him. Unfortunately, that referee did not pick up the count from the timekeeper. He started on his own like 1, 2, not where the timekeeper already, he was already at 5. So it should have been 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Buster Douglas would have been counted out. But being that it was a low count because of an error of the timekeeper, that's why I tell referees, and I don't like to knock referees, I like to help referees. I tell referees, you can learn from that because sometimes by making mistakes, it makes you a better official. I said, but in that particular fight, Mike Tyson would have won that fight that night. But they couldn't overrule, they wouldn't allow the sanctioning body to overrule the call of the referee, even though they protested, Tyson people protested, Don King, and everybody that was involved with that fight, they protested about the delayed count of the official timekeeper. The referee picked it up at the wrong count. That referee, unfortunately, never did any big fights again. But, that's why I say tell the referee you got to do your homework. And when you go to a particular country or different state, different sanctioning body, check all your rules out. Be sure you go in there prepared. You got to do your homework. Know the fight, know your fighters, know their style, know if that fighter likes to hit low blows, if he likes to excessive holding. Holding is okay, but not excessive holding. Some fighters do excessive holding. That's when the referee got to start taking points. We're taught as fighters, if you get hurt, try to grab onto your opponent and hold on. Then let the referee break you up. So we're taught to hold. We tell the fighter, and I know that it's okay to a certain time, but when you got excessive holding for nothing yet because you want to hold all the time, that's when the referee got to start taking points. But you take control. The referees take control back in the dressing room, and I say, okay, we're here in Japan, we're here in Germany, we're in France, we're in Italy, we're in Yugoslavia, we're in Taipei, whatever country we go to, we got to make sure we got the rules, that we're going to abide by the rules of the local commission. Are we going to use unified rules, or we're going to use the rules that you guys have here in your country or your state? That's what the referee, whenever you get signed to a fight, wherever you go to, make sure you get the rules, do your homework, so you don't go there and make a mistake when you're refereeing.
Okay. Also, I don't want to forget to mention your podcast. So can you let everybody know
Yes,
where they can subscribe to and when you
I
do
would
it?
like people. Yeah, I do shows every Friday. It's called the Joe Cortez Show. I have a co-host named Shelley Stevens. Shelley Stevens is an entertainer. She's a singer here with her husband, Wesley Stevens, and they perform here in Vegas. And they're known as Twice as Nice. Now, Wesley Stevens was the original, one of the original Commodores, and with the stylistics back in the 70s with the Motown back when they first started out. So one thing led to another. I understand that there's some individuals, some singers that are coming into Las Vegas. They all want to get to see where Joe Cortez at, because I met so many of these guys at the fights, and they have Earth, Wind, and Fire. We became friends with Earth, Wind, and Fire. I got to meet a lot of people, but that's how it all started, with meeting these individuals out there. So it's been a great career, just meeting so many celebrities out there, getting to be in the boxing. When I got a call one day from an individual said, Joe, Mr. So-and-so, I represent Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is fighting a Floyd Mayweather. And Conor McGregor, I said to find you how they could reach Joe Cortez. He said, I want Joe Cortez to train me for the Mayweather fight. Because he said, I don't know much about the rules on boxing, but we want Joe Cortez to be there. So when I talked to this gentleman, I said, yeah, I can talk to you. So I went over to the UFC building where they were training, and they had me sign a contract. He gave me a 5-week contract to train Conor McGregor to fight Floyd Mayweather. And I said, well, okay. So I would dress up. They wanted me dressed as a referee with a bow tie and everything. In the ring, when he's sparring, he would be sparring, and I'd be trying to correct him anytime he commit a mistake or something that was illegal in boxing. I would stop him right there. I would correct him. we did that for 8 weeks, and he did okay. Julio Cesar Chavez would tell me I would do some work with ESPN, and Chavez would tell me, "Hey, Joe, I hear you're training Conor McGregor." He said, "Joe, you don't have a chance. You're gonna knock him out in one round." I told Julio Cesar Chavez, "Julio, let me tell you one thing. I never fought in a professional fight, but I can tell you one thing. He's gonna be a big surprise for the people in boxing. He's doing so good in sparring with Paulie Malignaggi. He's just sparring in the gym every day, for at least 4 or 5 times a week. They would be sparring there, and I would be there with him. And I said, he got some punching power. I could see the way he was moving. He's kind of awkward, but remember Prince Nassim Ahmed, the featherweight champion from the United Kingdom. If you guys remember Prince Nassim Ahmed, he was kind of awkward, real awkward fighter, and these guys are difficult to hit. And sure enough, that's what happened with him and Floyd Mayweather. Mayweather was beating him, but at the end, they stopped it, and they went 10 rounds. And the fans, I could tell you one thing, nobody complained about the $99 they paid for the pay-per-view. They each made a good paycheck, I believe. I think Mayweather made like $150 million, something like that. And Conor McGregor made $100 million. So I say, well, that wasn't bad, for a guy who never put on the gloves, Maybe that's why I'm getting back in shape now. I want to make a comeback and fight Jake Paul. Jake Paul, you out there? Yeah, do it, buddy. I can do it. I still got a little spark in the old flash.
I love it. I love it.
A lot of people ask me questions. I say, Joe, how do you remember everything, almost by the date, the year, the location? I didn't get hit that much. So that's why I thank God. That's why as a referee, I tell referees out there, first and foremost, it's the safety of the fighter. When you're out there refereeing, safety first. Second is enforcing the rules, but safety comes first.
Yes, sir. Do you have time for a few more questions?
Go ahead, I'm ready.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with Alexander Usyk?
Yeah, he was a cruiserweight champion. He came up and became heavyweight champion. He's doing real good. He fought Tyson Fury and fought Thomas?
Anthony Joshua.
Anthony Joshua, yeah.
Beat him twice.
He beat him twice, yeah.
Beat Fury twice.
Yeah, twice. So, you give him a lot of credit. The guy got something that the other guys don't have. I guess you got the speed, you got conditioning. He got a lot of experience, and I give him a lot of credit for what he's doing so far.
Now, would you?
If Tyson would have been around, though, if we say Tyson would take it for sure.
You think? So we talk about the
Tyson in his prime would definitely take him out.
Okay, I'm happy you said that because we talk about that in our group chats and stuff, fantasy matches, the Mike Tyson or Evander Holyfield. How would Usyk fare against some of the older boxers?
Yeah, you would have a tough time. You would have a tough time against Larry Holmes, Ken Norton, Joe Frazier. I mean, those guys were those difficult guys. George Foreman. Those guys. It's just a different era. But those guys today, they would never have a chance. None of those 4 guys I just mentioned. I mean, George Foreman was one of the great ones in my book. He was one of the hardest hitters out there. And I remember refereeing him against Jerry Cooney in Atlantic City.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Then I did him against Jerry Cossier in Reno, Nevada. I did him with Michael Moore when he knocked out Michael Moore, becoming the heavyweight champion at the age of 45. So I was a referee for that. Then I refereed a fight after that with Axel Schultz. And so I had the honor of refereeing George Foreman on 4 different occasions. He was a good one. I can tell you, that guy that we're talking about now, Usyk, he would have a tough time with any of those fighters, with Frazier, Foreman, Ali, Tyson. They will all put him away.
Yes, sir. Now, do you have a prediction for Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford in a few weeks?
I don't have no prediction. That's one fight I'm kind of staying away from. I refereed Canelo Alvarez. My last fight was Canelo Alvarez and Josecito Lopez, 2012 when I retired. Canelo was coming up, but he was already champion, and he's been a tough one out there. He got up in weight from welterweight to super welterweight to middleweight and super middleweight. He went up to light heavyweight. When he went to light heavyweight, they fought black kid Beville. He lost the title to Beville. He was trying to fight for the light heavyweight championship, and he lost. The only two losses was to that guy Beville and to Floyd Mayweather. Those are the two losses Canelo had. And I say he went up in weight, but by him going up in weight, that's what caused some trouble. He lost the fight because the power punches of this light heavyweight. And I was trying to think that maybe that may happen with Terrence Crawford going from welterweight going up to 168. I mean, going to up 2 divisions. And that may affect Terrence Crawford. So like Canelo, he was good as a super welterweight and as a middleweight and a super middleweight. But when trying to go for the light heavyweight, that's when he got beat. The strength of that going up in weight, sometimes it's tough to find an opponent that can that you think you can beat. Maybe he had more skills than this kid the light heavyweight Belleville, but Canelo didn't have it. And I think that's what may happen with Crawford. So I got to go to the edge. I got to go more with Canelo but then again, you got the younger fighter fighting the older fighter. Yeah, but that has its pros and cons too, because you talk about George Foreman and Michael Moore, same way. George Foreman was 45 and Michael Moore was 28. So anything can happen in boxing. I think it's you hit the guy at the right time, at the right timing. It's all timing, connecting right. And if you connect him right, it could go. This Crawford may outbox Canelo with speed, staying on the outside, but then the judges, they see you like running a lot and moving a lot. And what happens is when you're moving and you're trying to use a lot of defense, the judges see that the other guy is chasing you. You got to score for points for the aggressiveness, but then the contact. Canelo's throwing the wild punches. Canelo's pretty accurate with his punches. He doesn't no wild punches, no crazy. He's more straight punches. Good kind of combination, gets inside, works to the body good. So Canelo has a lot more experience, but then I think a lot more power. But we'll see what happens. Anything can happen that night.
That's so true.
That's coming here. That's in September 13th in Las Vegas.
Yes, sir.
It's gonna be a big one. You fans out there got to watch that fight because I'll be there watching it myself.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. Anything else you want to say in closing?
Well, I will say that September, like I said, September 26th or 28th in Atlantic City. There's Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame induction, where I'm going to be inducted. Several individuals are going to be inducted. Julian Jackson is going to be inducted. Charles Murray is going to be inducted. It'll be a good group of individuals. And, that's the place where I did my first world title fight. My dream was to do one world title fight. When I retired with Canelo Alvarez, it was my 176th world title fight. So, I've come a long ways in boxing. And when I retired, people said, Joe, you're still doing all the big fights now. You're the most active referee out there. I said, no, I've had my time. I now want to help other referees. I have no ego, but I know what I did. I accomplished more than I ever thought. Now I want to help other referees out there and get them on the right track. That's what I've been doing. And, I just want you guys out there to know that it's not all about me anymore. It's about the fans and the fighters.
Yes, sir. This is an awesome interview. And for those who may just come into the chat room one last time, can you let them know about your podcast?
I got the Joe Cortez show. The Joe Cortez show every Friday. You can do it on YouTube. You can check it out. If you missed the timing, then go put in the Joe Cortez show on YouTube. You'll see my show there. And, we try to bring people on board to talk about a little bit of everything. And not only boxing, I bring everybody from all walks of life. Anybody interested in being on the show, send me call me up, send me a text message, and let me know that you want to be on the show. If I get time, I'll get you on there. But the Joe Cortez show with my co-host Shelly Stevens is on every Friday. You're from Las Vegas, Nevada, the entertainment and boxing capital of the world.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. This was a great time to sit here and talk boxing with you. You have
And
a
thank
great
you.
story.
Well, with me, it's an honor, to be something I got to pinch myself. I can't believe that I've been in boxing so many years. I never thought that I would be a fighter, and never mind becoming and doing some of the greatest fights of all time that I've had the honor of doing. I mean, I've refereed Tyson 8 times, Manny Pacquiao 3 times, Floyd Mayweather 3 times, Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran like 4 times,
Mm.
and Larry Holmes, Lennox Lewis, Prince Nassim Ahmed, Julio Chavez. I may go on and on. 176 World Championship fights. Some champions come up to me at the fight, say, "Hey, Joe, you remember me?" And I look at them. I said, "No." I said, "You refereed my championship fight." There's so many I forget, man. But it's an honor. That's why I said is I love being around the fans. I love saying hello to ex-retired fighters. When I was active, I never got close to fighters, never got close to promoters, never got close to anybody in boxing. I was very private. I didn't want to get out there and be fraternized with the people because that's not my style. When I retired from boxing, I can look in the mirror and say, "Joe, you did it the right way. I didn't kiss nobody's butt. I did not. I did not. I never called anybody to get in the Hall of Fame. When I got in the Hall of Fame, it was all like a pleasant surprise. When Mr. McLean called me for the Atlantic City Hall of Fame, I didn't even know who was the president there. I got a call from me. He said, "You know who I am?" And I said, "No, I don't." He said, "I'm the president of the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, Mr. McLean." He said, "I will let you know that you're going to be inducted this year." I said, "Really?" I said, "Wow." And that's the way to get something, get a little award like that, but you get it by surprise. You don't want to call people up and tell them, "How can I get in the Hall of Fame? Or how can I get this fight? How come I'm not doing this fight?" That's not my style. My thing is do the best you can, and I let all my talking I do my talking in the ring when I was refereeing.
Yes, sir. Um, my cousin Cam J Network, he does a podcast as well. He was asking, how do you feel about David Benavidez versus Anthony Yardy and Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr.?
Yeah, they're all going to be good. Devin Haney, I met Devin Haney when he was 10 years old. I met him up here in Mesquite. They had a PAL tournament.
Mm.
And he fought 10 years old. He was boxing. I looked at this kid. I said, "Man, this kid can move. He can box. He got good leg movement. He can move around real good." And I said, after he won the fight, the PAL tournament, he said, "Come here, young man." I said, "Who's your trainer?" He said, "My father, Bill." I said, "What is he?" Bill, like, you brought your father over? I said, "It's Haney, your kid here." He says, "This kid is championship material." He looked at me and said, "Mr. Cortez, coming from you, that means a lot." I said, "Yeah, well, this kid's going to go places." He was 10 years old. When he was 20 years old, he was a WBC champion of the world. He's a good fighter. He has good skills. He's a decent puncher. He's a hell of a good boxer. He got good moves. He's good. So I favor him over his next opponent. Yeah. And the
Yes.
other one was again you were talking about.
Yeah, David
Uh,
Benavidez versus Anthony Yardy.
Yeah, I gotta go with Benavidez too. That Benavidez is also a good boxer. Yeah, good reach, good punching power, got a lot of experience. I gotta go with Benavidez. The two fights you talked to about Haney and Benavidez, I got them as winners in their next fights, which was so fun. If they fight those guys.
Yes, sir.
And with that said, guys, I'm here to help you guys out. Anything I can with boxing, as far as helping referees out there, I'm here to help you out. Boxers, if you need some information on that. One of the things I also want to mention is that some of the judges out there, we don't talk much about judges, but I like to see you guys get the judges that are doing top-notch fights and question them about what are the criteria, how do they score a fight. People wonder how do judges score a fight. What is it? Well, I can tell you about my first 10 years as a referee, I was a scoring referee. I was the third judge because they had 22 judges, and the referee was the third judge. And then when there was some death in the ring, Benny Kipper and went to a coma where he played McGriffin, Matt Sprague on it, and he ended up down. Then WBC changed the rules. They cut down from 15 rounds to 12 rounds. And then they took the scoring for the referee off. They concentrated more on the safety of the fighter, and they brought in a third judge. So, Judge, I like to see judges get on your show once in a while and talk about the criteria, how they score the fights, with effective aggressiveness, the cleanup blows, the regeneration, and defense. You got to look at all these things when you're watching a fight, and you can't score what you hear, you got to score what you see. But then again, the position of the judges, I said it before, and I'll say it again, I don't like the position of the judges right now. They started at the wrong place. They're still at the wrong place. They should be much higher than where they are right now. Because I did a study in my gym, because I had the luxury of doing it in my gym with the ring. I put judges higher. I put real professional judges. I said, I want to do a study. I put 3 on the top and 3 on the bottom with clickers, and I wanted you to click every time you see a punch land. So I was in the ring with 2 fighters, sparring in my ring, and I did a study. Ring Magazine loved the idea so much. They said, Joe, they want to write about it. He said, Joe, no, we're going to give you 4 pages. And they gave me 4 pages. I took all kinds of photos, different angles, with cameras, where the referee's at. Sometimes the fighters are right in front of the referee, it's like right here. With the back, and the judge is sitting right here in the back. You can't see. And then the ropes are in the way, then the lights are blurring your vision. But if you put them up higher, they can see clear. They can see all the punches. They don't hardly miss a punch. So with the study I did, with the clickers that I gave them, after you click, when you see a punch that's thrown, if you don't know if it's connected or not. So with a punch that they didn't know, that's when they clicked. So on the bottom, after 1 round, they clicked when they didn't see a punch. So they was, after the whole study, we did 4 rounds. After the whole study, on the bottom, there was 2 clicks on one side, 2 on the other side, 1 on the other side, and I take it back. That's the upper judges. They missed maybe 2, 2, and 1. The bottom judges on the bottom, one missed 9, the other guy missed 10, the other guy missed 15. So I say, okay. So the judges on the top, you see much better from up there. They say yes. And you know what? My study was not done with any amateur. It was done with top-notch judges here in Las Vegas. Okay, big name. And they were the guys that I used for the study. Okay, I'm not going to mention any name, but they were there, and they said, Joe, we go for you 100% higher position, much better than the lower position. We can see, I wish that they would change it. Now, Mauricio Suleiman, WBC, promised me that he would do that. He would do it if he started out with the smaller fights, preliminary fights, do that, and see how that works out. He said, we'll see what happens. When I was there giving a seminar to the officials, WBC officials, and it hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting to see if they're going to make that call, make that change.
Yes, sir. So you have quite a bit of people here in the chat showing support to the show today.
Okay.
Cam J, he says, how did you feel about Manny Pacquiao coming back at that age?
Well, let me tell you, I refereed Manny Pacquiao on, I believe it was 3 occasions. And one of them was against Juan Marquez. The other one was against when he fought a kid from Ghana. I forgot the kid's name. When Marquez was a band with 118 pounds. I did when he was young, coming up the ranks. And, when he was at the age now 46, he still has all together because I was with him in June up at the International Boxing Hall of Fame where he got inducted. I said, Manny, can you do me a favor? Can you say a couple of words on my phone here for the young kid? I want to put it online. You saying, give me some kids some good advice. I put him on the phone. We talked for about a minute. What I was doing really was I was testing, see how his speech was, how he was talking to me, and how he remembers things. He was 100%. Okay, I said, okay. But you know what? I've seen many fighters, some top-notch fighters, real former world champion, are not the same when they retire from boxing. A couple of years later, you see them. When I was with ESPN, I went to a couple of champions, and maybe 10 seconds, I had to already stop the interview because I couldn't understand one word that they were saying. Okay, they couldn't remember certain things. I said, well, some fighters, they take too many punches, and it should, in the long term, it shows the effect it has on you. Not right then and there, But look at listen to them 5 or 10 years later, and you'll see. And there's a bunch of good fighters, great champions. You see them today, I feel sorry for them. So I tell fighters, your window in boxing should be 10 to 15 years, the prime time. That should be it. Anything after that, you should get out. Get it. If you're making money like Pacquiao, he doesn't do it for the money. He does it because he loves boxing. But it can affect him physically. It can affect him. He has a wonderful wife, wonderful children. You should think about them in the long run. Spend his golden years with his children, with his grandchildren, have a good time. But I'll tell fighters, don't get in there if you don't need to. I don't like to see fighters get hurt. That's why I say at the beginning of the show, the duties of a referee, first and foremost, is the safety of the fighter, and second is enforcing the rule. So you guys out there listening, so fighters, managers, trainers, believe me, and people say, Joe, these fighters, you only fought so many rounds in boxing. When they do these studies for fighters, I say, okay, they have the Cleveland Clinic here in Las Vegas. They have Dr. Charlie Burnick, who was in charge of the program with the studies of combat sports, athlete, football, boxing, and MMA. We do the study, and they called me in to see if I can answer some questions to the panel of individuals they had there. And they said, Joe, well, I said, one thing I asked, I said, okay, you have a good staff here. What kind of Leon Spinks is going there for treatment for his memory? When he was suffering from a little bit of dementia, and some other individuals, football and boxing, MMA, and those are the main ones: the boxing, MMA, and football. But boxing is the one they do studies with. How many rounds do you think these fighters fought when you're doing the study? But we look at BoxRec and we see that he had 40 fights. So we figured most of them were half were 10 rounders, a couple of 12 rounders, and a couple of 8 rounders, 6 rounders. So we total up the rounds. And we figured he gets so many punches per round. Okay, good. Okay. I said, that's good, but now when you talk about the sparring, the punches they take during sparring, how many punches do you think they take in sparring, in the sparring session? This is about maybe 100 rounds for a 10-round fight or 12-round fight. They say, well, we never took that into consideration. Well, they take a lot of punches in training, because I see a lot of fighters, they get hit with punches left and right to the head. And I told trainers, why are they fighting so hard? They're supposed to be only sparring. They're hurting each other in here. So some fighters sometimes come going to the fights already damaged goods. So that's why I say it's a lot you got to consider when you ask me the question, what I think of Pacquiao fight at the age of 46. They got to be very careful fighting too long, taking too many punches.
Yes, sir. Definitely understandable.
So we're thinking we got to protect the fighters out there. The family members, if you're listening to, you say, listen to Joe Cortez. He knows, he's been around. He's telling the truth. He knows what's going on in boxing. I'm talking what goes on behind the scene. A lot of families are really going through difficult times because your husband, your brother, your sister, whatever. You got girls, you got females, and males in boxing now. Oh, by the way, I have a young lady that I'm training now as a referee. We have a couple of female referees, and but there's one in Chicago. Her name is Idalia V. Ramos, and she's a USA boxing referee, doing pretty good. And she did some fights last night, and she did some fights last week. She's doing pretty good. I like her style, and I want to see if we can get her, because she's thinking about going pro. She's been doing it she has over 400 amateur fights as a referee and judge. So I'm hoping that we could turn her pro somewhere, one of the states, but pick her over and turn her pro. I'd like to see female boxers still to develop real good now. They put on a good fight like they did in McGregor the other day with Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor from Ireland. They fought in McGregor, and the whole card was all female. I want to see more female referees out there.
Okay.
So, and I love doing that, helping these referees out there.
That is awesome. Mike Ware, shout out to my brother Mike Ware. He said, good interview. How did you feel about refereeing Mayweather versus Hatton?
Okay, Mayweather had it was good. That was a good fight. Matter of fact, I was watching that fight yesterday, the day before yesterday, on Friday. I was showing it to a young girl, a referee that I've been helping out. I said, Ricky Han he was a good fighter. You got to give him a lot of credit. But, there's a lot of the referee that I said, watch this fight. She went to me, oh my God, Joe, I watched that fight. That was such a tough fight. There was so much holding by Ricky Han, so many rough tactics. I said, yes, that's why I want you to watch that because there's some fights, like I said, holding is okay to some extent, but not excessive holding. The rough tactics, like wrestling inside, that's not allowed in boxing. So a referee has to know when to stop the action. Come on, you guys got to stop this. I kept warning Ricky Han about that. With excessive wrestling, hitting. It was really, you guys watch the fight, Ricky Han and Floyd Mayweather, and then you put me on the show another time, and you can see, you guys can talk to me about it. Joe, you were 100% right. We watched it. We saw it. It was a real dirty fight, and you did what you had to do. And unfortunately, Ricky Han got knocked out in the 10th round because I don't see nobody get knocked out, but I'm there to protect him. But he got knocked out, and then so that ended up. But the fans, a lot of British fans, came here to root for him. And, they love the guy. The guy happens to be a hell of a nice guy. I like him. Good guy. And I just felt so bad that the fans were booing so much about the outcome. The Mayweather knocked him out. And they say, Joe's the worst referee in the world and whatnot. But if I would have won, Joe was the best referee, But as a referee, damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Right. You can't please everybody.
You can't, but in this business, as a referee, and people that know me personally, they know the kind of heart that I have, how I love everybody out there, whether the kids, whether the seniors, fighters. I like to help everybody out. But people think that I'm the worst guy in the world. Yeah, because certain things didn't go their way with the outcome of a fight. But you got to have thick skin in the business to be a referee. And I learned to deal with that. Now, when you referee out there listening, if you can't take the heat, get out the kitchen.
Well said. Boxing Focus. Shout outs to Boxing Focus. Did you see Tank Davis versus Lamont Roach?
No, I did not see that.
Match?
I'm sorry.
Okay, you didn't see that.
No,
Okay.
I didn't see that one. No. I heard it was a tough fight for Lamont Javante Davis. It was Javante Davis, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. They said that they thought that Roach won the fight. I didn't see it, so I can't say. But I heard it was a tough fight. So I'm saying, you're not gonna have a good night every night. And you gotta try to always be your best when you're in there because sometimes fights can be tougher. You can ask Mike Tyson. He'll tell you most of the nights were great for him, but some nights didn't go his way, including his last fight that I refereed against Kenny McGregor, when I had to stop the fight with Mike Tyson. He wasn't hurt. He was more fatigued. He was so exhausted. I stopped it at the end of the 6th round. When he walked back to his corner, we stopped it after. That was it. I didn't want to see him get hurt. But that's the thing that happens in boxing.
Well, this is awesome. We covered a lot from A to Z tonight, and this was an awesome podcast.
Yeah, I'm going to do half hour, but I love talking to you when people are asking questions because I want our fans to get more of what they want. Give them a little bit of so they can hear what goes on behind the scenes and how Joe Cortez really is. Now you got to say, I know how Joe is. I didn't know he was that kind of a guy. Now you know me. I'm a caring-loving guy. I love everybody. I don't care if you're blue or you're red. I don't care. I love you all.
We love you back.
That's it, buddy. Take care. God bless. And I'll talk to you guys soon. I'm
sir.
here anytime you want. Call me up.
Okay, I'd like to get you on in the future.
You got it, buddy. Take care. God bless. And keep your guards up at all time. Protect you all the time. And remember, guys, I'm fair, but I'm firm. Touch them up.